The story of Dakota James' final hours is now gaining national attention and has opened the mystery even more.
A warning, some of the photos you are about to see might be disturbing, but the James family believes they are a key part of trying to solve this case. Here's John Shumway with the conclusion of accident or abduction, the mysterious death of Dakota James.
Please come forward and help us.
As Pam and Jeff James worked with the detectives, Oxygen Channel cameras followed along for a docuseries called Hunt for Justice. All involved concluded that Dakota's body did not go into the Allegheny River, but instead went into the Ohio, beyond the violent waters of the Emsworth Back Channel Dam.
Nothing at all on the body to suggest that he had gone through a dam.
His body wasn't swollen. He couldn't have been in the water for 40 days.
At the family's request, District Attorney Stephen Zappala turned over to them the autopsy report complete with pictures, and they quickly focused on one picture in particular.
2 with blue gloves, 2 with white nylon gloves. They were looking at the back of the neck, and this ligature mark, Doc called it a furrow on the side of his neck.
You have to take it as tangible, scientific evidence of a ligature of some kind having been placed around the neck.
What is seen in the picture is not mentioned in the autopsy.
This was clearly evident of some type of ligature device.
There was no internal damage to the neck structures reported in the autopsy report, so I'm not able to say that he was strangled to death, but there was something around the neck.
And there was blood pooled in fingers on both hands, which Weck says could result from trying to pull a ligature away from the neck. So the investigators and Pam James went back to the district attorney, Stephen Zappala.
He believed that we had something that could be looked into.
Zappala sent one of his detectives to the medical examiner's office. And this is what the DA told me, which I shared with Pam James.
There are no ligatures.
What are those in the picture?
They're referring to 2 sets of pictures. One, there was blood that came out of the nose and the mouth and pooled around the neck. Okay, and there's a second set of pictures where the neck is clean and there's no ligature marks. That's what the ME is telling me too.
So what was it around the neck the first time?
Blood.
And it washed off?
Mm-hmm.
So there are no ligature marks?
Mm-mm.
Okay, you tell me, if he was in the river for 40 days, how does it wash off? How does that wash off? You come out of the water, you have ligature marks, and then you take them to the medical examiner's office and they wash off. Dry blood doesn't stay on you when you're in the water for 40 days. And why does he have pooling in the fingers? I don't believe that. I absolutely do not believe that.
Pam James says Dr. Wecht believed he could use the autopsy report to reach his conclusions.
And so we had Dakota cremated. And that was per Dr. Weck. And now I regret all that. I trusted the system that I was being told properly that I could bury my son and not have to worry about this. And now I have to live with the regret of that.
Officially at the district attorney's office?
It's a homicide, so it's open. It's an open file, but it's not being treated as a criminal homicide.
In other words, no active investigation unless new evidence is found. And at the medical examiner's office, Dakota's death remains an accidental drowning.
Why won't he meet us again? We have questions about the pictures he has in hand, and he won't talk to us about that.
At the very least, it should have been, and today should be, marked as undetermined.
As for the smiley face killer theory, Dr. Weck doubts the theory that there are serial killers at work in Dakota's death.
I lean toward copycat.
I can't stop national tabloids from doing whatever they're going to do.
I don't know that I want to give it that name. Could it be a cult, an initiation thing? It's something. It's something very evil is what it is.
There's no reason why the police then wouldn't reopen this case to see that something happened. Forget about the smiley faces, forget about the other graffiti that we found at the scene. It doesn't make sense.
I want it changed. I definitely want it changed. It's definitely not accidental. It's never going to bring my son back. I know that. But I don't want my son's name going down in history as being that drunk kid that walked down the alley and walked across that river and drowned, because he didn't do it.
Pam says Dakota's big brother Shane doesn't talk about it. Her husband Jeff is supportive but finds it all very difficult. She, however, is unrelenting.
We're not the same people. We're not. People look at us different. People treat you different. You lose friends. You get more friends. You know, it's just different.
Now, since my interview with Pam James, I reached out to the medical examiner, Dr. Carl Williams. I wasn't allowed to talk to Dr. Williams, but through county spokeswoman Amy Downs, Dr. Williams sent word that he will meet with the James family to answer any questions they have about the autopsy, the findings, the pictures, whatever they want to ask. However, it's going to be the James family only, no cameras, no detectives. Now, this afternoon, I passed that offer along to Pam personally, gave her the phone number to call to set up the appointment, which she says she's going to do.
She's going to do that.
And Dakota James is not the only case of a young man in the Pittsburgh area who mysteriously disappears.
Right. There were two others, Paul Kochu, and that was in 2014, and Jimmy Slack in 2011. Both disappeared and were found dead in bodies of water. And because of that, the Smiley Face Killer team believes that they could be involved.
Now, the Smiley Face Killer team, Detective Gannon, as you said, literally hundreds of missing cases, but they don't all fall into the Smiley.
No, they don't. He says that right now they have 105 cases that he calls ours. And they're trying to prove that there are this loose group of whatever they are out there, Smiley Face Killers, doing this. 105 cases that they believe are absolutely Smiley Face Killer cases. There's another 100 plus that they're looking into, and since this show started airing on the Oxygen channel, they've gotten a lot more. The number now of cases to look into, he says, is about 350.
One quick question for you. Since the deaths of these three young men in the Pittsburgh area, especially in the gay community, there was a lot of talk that maybe gays were being targeted. Anything on that?
That has been a lot of talk, and I talked to Detective Gannon by text this afternoon about that, and he says it is absolutely not true that the Smiley Face Killers only focus on homosexuals. In fact, he says the predominant number of the victims that they're looking at are heterosexual.
Great report, John.
So many questions, and these families need answers.
You really feel for her.
All right, John, thanks so much.
Thanks, John.